Well, welcome everyone to Mindful Mondays with Laura Cross. I am your host and resource for self-care, connections, and collaborations. And today we have with us the dynamic Sherry Diamond, who is a wealth enthusiast and is on a mission to transform lives. 6 years ago, she turned her life around by losing 103 pounds and reversing a pre-diabetes diagnosis. And she did it all by focusing on clean eating and reducing inflammation. So I am super excited to have her with us today. Sherry, thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, Laura. I'm so happy to be with you. This is exciting.
Thank you. So can you tell me what inspired your wellness journey and how did you initially tackle your pre-diabetes diagnosis?
Well, like you mentioned in the beginning, I went to the doctor and this doctor, I love her. In fact, she just retired and it's not retired, but she moved away. And I'm so sad because I love her. And I went for my annual checkup and she said, you're pre-diabetic because I have to go for a blood test every 3 or 4 months before I see the doctor because the only medication, thank goodness, I take is for my thyroid. And because your thyroid has to do with your liver, you have to have a blood test every few months or they won't die. They will not renew your medication. So I went for a blood test and then I went a couple weeks later for my appointment. And she said, you're pre-diabetic and this is the first time since I know you. She said, and my advice to you would be to try and slim down. That's how she put it. She didn't say you should lose weight. She said, I think you should slim down. And I said to her, you're kidding. I'm pre-diabetic. And all I could think of was my mom because my mom had diabetes. And then years later, she went on to have pancreatic cancer and died.
Oh, wow.
So she literally scared me because I saw that whole thing flash before my eyes. So on the way home, I kept telling myself, I am not getting diabetes. I don't care. This is a wake-up call. You need to do something. And I was having that conversation in my head, right?
Right.
And that afternoon, I started researching, why do people get diabetes? Why do we get high blood pressure? And everything came back to the one word, which you mentioned earlier, is inflammation. And inflammation is caused by bacteria. And the bacteria that lays in our system, like for me, 64 years old, I've been eating bad. I've been, losing weight, gaining weight, and I've been on a yo-yo diet my whole life, right?
Yeah, I've done a number of those.
Right. And I lose weight and be good for a year or two, and then I fall off the wagon. Or I lose 30 pounds and I gain 10 back. I mean, it's crazy. And so I thought about it and I thought, this makes sense because all the bacteria that's in our bad food that we eat, 64 years of it, it's in your system. And after a while, where is it going to go? Nowhere. And it just lives there and lives there and lives there and festers and becomes diseases. And the other thing I found out, and this is why I'm such an advocate for wellness and getting people off of high blood pressure and diabetes medicine, especially if you're type 2, because it's the only one you can reverse, right?
Right.
And the reason I'm such an advocate is because that's where it all starts. So if you go to the doctor and they tell you you have high blood pressure, you have to take medication. If you can get the high blood pressure under control, but if you don't, 85% of it leads to diabetes. So it's like a line that you go through. First, you start with high blood pressure, then you get diabetes. And after a few years, or maybe 10 years, 20 years, however, you get to a point where your body, you've wreaked havoc on your health to a point where you can't reverse it anymore. And you're going to have to keep taking the medication and maybe add more. I mean, look, I know people in their 50s, 60s, and 70s, they take 3, 5, 7, 9 pills a day. That's crazy because what happens is they're bad. Some of them are bad for all different organs in your body, and together, even though you're taking them for other reasons, together they don't get along.
Yeah. And
You
did
know,
you ever find that doctors, I mean, it's like they know, but they don't know. It's like, because as long as it doesn't like have a severe reaction or whatever, they just keep piling it on. But in reality, one medicine can be causing other effects, or you might have that effect and you don't just need to throw another medicine at it. You need to find like something totally different.
right. So you're compounding the illnesses. And maybe you started out with high blood pressure and that led to something else. It doesn't even have to be diabetes, right? And then it leads to something else. So you're taking this medication and that medication, and they don't all play well together. And that's where you get into trouble.
Yeah, I had a
So,
friend that was a pharmacist. My fiance is a type 2 diabetes, and the metformin was killing his kidneys. He was starting to go into, where the kidneys were starting to, fail and have trouble, where they were going to want him to see a kidney specialist. But by using berberine, which was a more natural remedy, I was able to get him off the metformin. So, keep trying to find and make these little tweaks. But
and that's excellent, but you're absolutely right.
yeah.
So, long story short, the next thing I did is I went, and don't get me wrong, I didn't do all this research and make a decision in a day. I start researching, and after a while, it all made sense that what foods cause inflammation. Oh my gosh. When I saw the list, I couldn't believe it. So I started taking all those things out of my diet and just trying to eat clean. And before I knew it, in 18 months, I lost 103 pounds. Now, does that mean everybody's going to lose weight in 18 months? No, but I was determined. I walked 2, 3 times a day. When I had a break at work, I would get up and just go for a walk for 10 minutes. Everything involved a walk. And I didn't go to the gym. I did stuff at home. I went to a dance class. But mostly it was walking and moving my body. And it felt so good. And for the first time in my brain, I could really feel this was it. And like I always say, what I did is I took that fat girl and I evicted her from my house and I kicked her out and literally killed her. And she's never allowed back in here again.
Nice. And that is amazing. 103 pounds in 18 months. And it takes a lot of discipline. I know a lot of people's first reactions is like, oh my God, I can't eat this anymore. I can't eat that anymore. Did you just like flip a switch and say, this is what I have to do? I mean, what would you suggest for people that kind of struggle with or feel like they can't eat anything they enjoy anymore?
Well, that's the biggest myth. Because for the people that follow me on my Facebook page, it's balance, the number 4, and life. That's the program, as you know, that I teach people about eating cleaner, living your life from the inside out, not the outside in, because that's what we're told. We're taught as kids about how you look and where you're supposed to go to school and who you're supposed to marry and how everything is supposed to look. But nobody ever asks you, how do you feel? Do you know what I mean? It's always, oh, you look amazing. I don't care if people think I look amazing. I want people to ask me, how do you feel? Don't you feel good? But nobody's interested in how you feel. They're only interested in if you're thin.
And
And
a lot of
that's
times we can't even describe how we feel because we're not used to even being asked that.
exactly. But I did. And I finally got it. So, yeah, I did flip the switch because I didn't have a choice. Because I said to myself, look, this is the wake up call. For me, this was the rock bottom, like if you're an alcoholic or a drug addict, because being addicted to sugar, which I was, that's an addiction. Food was my friend, right?
Right.
And I was an emotional eater. Now, when I'm upset and something happens, I rarely go stuff my face with anything because I understand moderation. And to get back to your other point about you can't eat this and you can't eat that, I can't tell you how many people say to me, oh, I bet you it's so boring to eat. Listen, as you know, I love to cook. And I have come up with recipes that I give my clients. I go online and I find recipes that have all the bad food and I dissect them and take out the bad food and I add the good food and then I try them. And let me tell you something. I eat chocolate, I eat candy, but I make it, right?
Oh,
I
wow.
eat pastry, I eat pasta, I eat all the bad food that isn't made with the bad ingredients. And what happens that people can't even fathom is that once you stop for a long time, even after a couple of weeks of not eating bad and getting rid of the bad food, you start to notice, oh, wait, I'm sleeping better. Yeah, I wake up a little happier because literally I didn't know it until I was out of it. Do you know that I was literally in a food coma? I was. I would eat pasta and wake up, and my head would be like I would be dragging myself out of bed like I had 6 drinks. It's the food.
Yeah.
Because the food, the sugar, the bad flour, all of that was weighing me down.
I'm assuming a lot of that too, because I know for myself, if I have something like in the afternoon, and if I don't keep moving or do something, next thing you know, I feel like I'm in a food coma. All I want to do is pass out and go to sleep for a while.
Right, because in the afternoon, that's when your blood sugar will drop, especially if you haven't eaten for hours. And then the other thing I don't really want to go into now about, but the other thing that I just started doing 2 years ago. So I didn't do it in the beginning because I was reluctant, and I started doing intermittent fasting. It's the best thing I ever did. Because once you do all of that and you put it all together, you'll see that the only time you're really hungry is when you're really hungry. And you're not always thinking about food, because when you release all the bad sugar and all the bad food, you replace your microbiome in your gut with good food, and then you don't feel that way anymore. And all of a sudden, you see yourself going, wait, I feel better. In fact, I always refer to one of my clients. She was one of my classmates in high school. And I think it's 2 years ago now. It might be three. I can't even remember. She went on my program, and she wanted to lose 40 pounds. And when we did our consultation, I give a free consultation before you sign up, because this is a no pressure thing. Because if you're not ready, you won't do well on the program, and then you're going to blame me, because that's what people do. So I want to make sure you're ready. So she was sitting there like this going, well, I'll try it and we'll just see, maybe I'll lose some weight. And this is how she was. And I laughed and I said to her, you're going to see in 6 or 8 weeks, you're going to be laughing. So long story short, she lost like 25, 28 pounds in this. She went on my 6-week program. And to date, she's lost 40 pounds. She looks so good. She's so happy. Her pictures that she posts online, she's smiling and vibrant, and you can see how thin she is. Now she's even taking in her clothes, throwing out her old clothes. I mean, it's like a whole transformation. And I just laughed because I was like, oh yeah, I remember that girl sitting there like, yeah, we'll see. Right. And now she's like, she went from this to opening up, and now she's so happy.
That is wonderful. Yeah, and it's amazing how you feel. And to me, that a celebration for that would be to go buy new clothes. Get rid of everything that
Exactly.
is
And
just sit
for
and go
me,
celebrate.
do you know that my whole life until now, except for when I was in my 30s was the last time I did not wear plus size clothing.
Wow.
And when I was a kid, oh my God, the store for plus size women, it's called Lane Bryant.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when I was a kid, they had a section called Chubettes,
Oh,
and it was
wow.
for kids. So there I am walking in with my mom, and there's this sign flashing at you, Chubettes, and I was mortified. So when I went to school when I was a kid, and people would say, oh, I like your dress. Where did you buy it? I'd say, oh, I think my mom bought it at Penny's. I used to lie because I don't want people to know I'm shopping in the Chubette section of Lane Bryant at 10 years old.
Wow. Yeah.
So that was something did not take me long to get over. And now I've borne this. I gain I gain or lose 1 or 2 pounds here or there because it's like water weight. But I don't even think about, oh my God, am I going to gain weight? Did I eat the wrong thing? Because I know exactly what I'm doing. And now I only get on the scale maybe once every 7 to 10 days just to check in.
Yeah, I do it once in a while and check in. One of the things I did learn from kind of the other ones is sometimes it can kind of be almost self-defeating to get on the scale all the time. Instead, you can kind of judge
You
by whether your
can't.
clothes are looser or, or how you feel, and kind of focus more on how you feel and not what the scale says.
Right. And as long as you feel good and your clothes are getting bigger, but the scale's not, you went down a half a size or a size, but you only lost 5 or 6 pounds. Really, every 10 pounds on the scale is a dress size. And I tell my clients not to weigh themselves, but once a week at the same time. So if you wake up on Tuesday morning and you want to weigh yourself at 7, 8 o'clock, every Tuesday morning, put it in your calendar and try and weigh yourself that day. If you don't do it till Wednesday, nothing bad will happen. But it's helpful to keep track and be consistent when you have the exact time, because when you first wake up, that's your truest weight when you just get out of bed. And when you go to the doctor, like I had to go to the doctor yesterday at 11 o'clock in the morning. Well, I weighed 2 pounds more. And I always say to the nurse, that's not what I weighed this morning, because I weighed myself and it's two. And she looks at me like, yeah, we know. Like, be quiet. We're putting this number in your chart. And I don't like it.
Yeah, or the first thing they'll tell you is, well, you have shoes and you got clothes on now, or we'll throw it off about how much our
Right. And I
clothes
always say,
weigh.
can I take my shoes off and stand on a paper towel? No. And I don't like looking at that other number that isn't true. You see, to this day, I'm still like that.
Right, right. And I think with your program too, you don't have to do the whole calorie counting and all the other
No,
stuff.
I
Right.
hated it. Look, as I've told you, I've gone to Weight Watchers, Jenny Craig, and don't get me wrong, I am not putting down any of these programs. If it works for you, perfect. For me personally, the reason I can't subscribe to those anymore is because the one thing they never do, they tell you how to eat from the food groups. They tell you weigh yourself once a week. But some of the food that they're telling you to eat and buy from them is so highly processed. It's terrible. So no wonder people are frustrated and they quit. Right?
Yeah. And it takes a lot of research, because I know me, for one, I get really frustrated. I mean, I'll take the time to try and read all those labels, but then you start getting lost in all their terms and what, this means, that means, is this really good for you or is it not? How do you make
Right.
sense out of those labels?
Listen, I've been on Weight Watchers so many times that I could take you, me, and your fiance on a trip around the world more than once, because that's how much money I have spent. I don't know if it's hundreds of thousands, but thousands, because I was on Weight Watchers since I'm 30 years old, right?
Wow.
I mean, in 30 years, do you know how much money you spend on Weight Watchers? I don't care if they have a special or you get a month free. It all adds up.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I've done a number of different ones. Some are using my Fitness Pal, which was pretty cool when you see it, and it puts the stuff in and it starts changing the percentages. But a lot of us have busy lives. We don't have time to sit there and keep, logging everything. And then if you didn't log it correct, it's off. And I think that's where a lot of people get frustrated with trying to lose weight.
Absolutely. And the other thing is the food. When the food is cleaner, not only do you feel better and you lose weight, but the clean food, something happens to you where you feel happier. I can't even explain it. I know it sounds so ridiculous. And anybody who's listening to this podcast probably thinks I'm cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. But honestly, it's true. And what I tell people is, if you think I'm lying, I challenge you to take 10 days, research all the foods that do not have inflammation, that are clean, take away the wheat, the sugar, all the preservatives and additives, just for 10 days. And tell me that you don't feel even a little better. And anybody who says, I don't see a difference, is because up here in their brain, they don't want to. Because everybody who's been on my program has said to me within a couple of weeks, you know what, Sherry, I don't know if I'm imagining it, but I think I'm starting to feel better. And you are, because what we're doing is we're replacing your microbiome, your gut, with good bacteria, and we're flushing out the bad bacteria. And it takes a long time, but once you do it, you absolutely know that you're like um, that you're in the right going in the right direction for your health. And when it came to COVID, I have to tell you, I have a brother. He's 5 years older than me. He eats just like me. Exactly. He and I are the only ones in our immediate family have not had COVID. I'm the only one of my friends that have not had COVID. Somebody in some family that I know, at least one person has had COVID. And you know what I said? I wake up every day going, I'm never getting COVID. And the reason I think I'm never going to get it is because I was around people who were exposed when I found out later they got it. And I think because my gut is so clean, there's no bacteria in there for this disease. And it goes in and it's like ricochets and go, oh, yeah, this is too clean. Bye. And they leave. And I'm like, bye. You know, that's how I look at it. And I know it's silly, but it's also a mindset. And whatever you believe, you can achieve. And if you can change your mindset to be positive instead of negative and look for the good food instead of worrying about what you can't eat, because all that food you can't eat is bad for you. So why are you mad? Your mindset and thinking more positive and having a good outlook, that's half the battle. And that's something I do for people, and I help them on the journey, because I know when people are like, yeah, I can't eat this. Oh, yeah, I want to eat that Snickers bar. Well, I'll teach you how to make a Snickers bar with dark chocolate. No problem.
That is awesome. And I know you have some more tips and techniques, and you're going to, I think, share with some of the people how some of those things, how you can substitute and make your own. We are going to need to take a quick break for our sponsors, but
Great.
stay with us, because as you can see, Sherry is a wealth of knowledge, and I'm excited myself to learn even more about how to do that. So we will be right back.
Hello, my name is Peter. I'm a Dharma Master. I teach Qigong at the Bright Beings Academy. What kind of Qigong do we teach? Well, it helps you to get your mind into your body and your breath very quickly. We really start off with quite quick movements to help cater for the busy Western mind, coming into stretching out the meridians, waking up the chakra system and the danjons, coming into Jigan meditation, which helps you to really focus on the energy in and around your body, bringing you into that beautiful calm state where you can sit and meditate really easily, whereas maybe before you found it really difficult. So Qigong at the Bright Beings Academy will help you get more in touch with yourself.
Relief for PTSD, anxiety, pain, insomnia, and many other ailments. Introducing Vibe, the world's only pocket PEMF device. You place in your pocket while cooking, cleaning, relaxing, watching TV, sitting at your computer, reading, or walking. Self-contained standalone device. No drugs. No other phone or Bluetooth connections required. No monthly subscription fees. No apps to download. No Bozone. The future of medicine is in the frequencies. Come join the revolution.
Hi, I'm Bobby Aldridge with BAM Metrics. There are so many programs out there that measure your swing speed, sets, reps, your BMI, your body fat. But the one thing they're not measuring that's so essential is mobility. Mobility is the key. If you're measuring your mobility, your performance will get better and you will reduce your pain. I created BAM Metrics to make it easy for people to repeat the exercises so they could do it properly at home on their own. It's simple, it's easy to do, and from a senior to a pro athlete.
Hi, I'm Sarah Stockham, and I'm host of Simply Sarah. Join me Thursdays at 3 p.m. Pacific on the Achieve TV network for the best energetic tools to elevate your amazing life right here on E360 TV.
And we are back. So your Balance for Life program, what you told us a little bit about, kind of what does all that entail? You said you share the recipes and stuff. So
Right. So I decided, people said to me after I lost weight, they're like, how did you do it? You look so amazing. How do you this? How do you that? And I thought, you know what? They also said, you make it look so easy. And I thought, oh, if they only knew how it's not easy, but it's worth it. So I started thinking one day, I think I should maybe write a program. So I already had a full-time job. And I started writing the program and I thought, this could be something. Maybe I should do this. But I didn't want to quit my job. Why? Because I was scared. Well, the universe takes care of everything. I say it all the time. And in November of 2020, during the pandemic, I got laid off of my job. And I made a decision. I said, look, you can go back and work for somebody else, or you can jump off the cliff of life and start this program and see where it goes. And that's what I did. So long story short, the program, you can sign up. It's either 6 weeks or 12 weeks. And I have a Balance for Life food list that has all the good food you can eat. And I go over it with you in the first week to tell you how to shop, what to buy, etc. I also do a 15-minute consultation prior to signing up, because I don't pressure people into anything. And the reason is I have never done anything, Laura, in my life that has to do with money, because money is the root of all evil. And when people are pressured into spending money, they fail. But if they do it on their own and they feel like the money is worth spending, they'll succeed.
Absolutely.
So I put together the program, and I have to say, one of the very first people to go on my program was my doctor that gave me the pre-diabetes diagnosis. She was like, this is amazing. I need this. Not because she needed to lose weight, because she doesn't know how to eat properly and not eat bad food. Because one of the things I love about her, like me, she doesn't believe in throwing you medication, and she believes in good, clean food. She wasn't sure what to eat. So she went on my program, and so did other people. And now, it's something that's been going on. I've been doing it for 3 years. And the other thing is people will say, well, I'm not a really good cook, or I don't know how to make this so it's not boring. I send you recipes for free that you can make, or I can tell you, add this or add that, or do this or do that, because I don't want anybody to fail. So I'm there every step of the way. If you need to send me an email or a text, I'm not sure what to do, I will help you, because I don't want you to quit. So I help you. And that's something our doctors don't do. They're not there every time we have an answer. We have to call. We have to wait 3 days till they call us back, or never. Right?
Right.
And I don't believe in that. I believe that if you're going to spend money on my program, I have to be there to hold your hand every step of the way. However, after a couple of weeks, I still send recipes and do all that. But I want you to get into a mindset. And that's the other thing I try to do, is the mindset. Because one of the things I teach in my program is how you're socialized as a kid with food is one of the biggest components of your relationship with food as an adult. And I know it firsthand.
Yeah. And I would assume, when a lot of people just say, well, it's genetics.
No, it's not genetics.
Yeah.
The only thing that's genetics in my family is the diabetes I don't want. Everybody in my family, my mom, my dad, both my grandparents, and some uncles and aunts and cousins, they've all died of cancer. And my goal has been for 6 years, I want to be the first person not to die of cancer in my family, and I want to live to be 90.
That is awesome. So so it's not, you're not, just because it's in your genes doesn't mean you have to subscribe to it, or
right.
know that that's
and don't get me wrong. Do I have a crystal ball that says I won't ever get it? No. But if I keep on this path and I do what I'm supposed to do, I have a better chance of not getting it. And if I do, hopefully it won't be until I'm closer to 90.
Right. And you've already reversed the pre-diabetes, so you've already got that going too.
Exactly. Exactly.
So sorry. So what's one of the, like, what is one of your funner recipes or something that, or something you really enjoy that works?
I have so many. Well, I only eat fish, so I'm a pescatarian.
Okay.
It doesn't mean you shouldn't eat meat, but if you're going to eat meat, you should eat grass-fed meat. So for me, I love spices, and I love baking. I love baking fish. I love fried fish, and I never ate it when I was losing weight on other programs because it's bad for you. But if you use the right flour and the right eggs, you can fry fish and you make a batter. I mean, there's so many good, clean foods you can use. But I will say my biggest tip is not even the recipes. My biggest tip is when you go shopping and you look at the back on the ingredients, you should look at the fiber and make sure you have enough. You need to look at the sugar, but right underneath is that place that says added sugar, and that's where people get into trouble. The other day I was at Whole Foods. They had something, I don't even remember what it was. It's 3 grams of sugar. And underneath it says 16% added sugar. That's enough sugar for a month.
Wow. Yeah.
And I was like, are they kidding? And that's the part people don't pay attention to. And it's the part you need to pay attention to. It's not the calories. I don't believe in counting calories. I don't believe in writing everything down. You should, if you eat only the foods on the program when you are hungry. How do you determine when you're hungry? Is your stomach growling? If your stomach isn't growling, but you have this, you're like jonesing for food. My biggest tip is drink an 8 or 10 ounce glass of water and go sit down and do something for 20 minutes. And if you still feel empty or they're still growling, go eat some food because you're hungry. Otherwise, you're thirsty. And that's how you can get yourself to drink more water, because sometimes all we are is thirsty. But what do we say? Oh, yeah, I'm hungry. I got to eat something.
Yeah, I've done those roller coasters. We talked about a little bit about emotional eating. It just kind of depends on what emotion I'm in. There's some where I want to eat for comfort food, or I just so disgusted I just don't even want to eat, and I wind up not eating. I'm like on one end or the other. When normally when it comes to emotions, it was never really in the middle.
What's your go-to for emotional eating? I'm curious.
Chocolate.
That's
chocolate
it? Any kind of chocolate?
Well, I try to make myself feel better by doing the dark chocolate covered pomegranates, because I figured at least that's got some fruit in it.
Mine was ice cream.
Well, ice cream, yeah. Ice cream or malts, yeah.
Only I didn't just have a little bit. I could eat a pint of ice cream. And there were some days, I hate to even admit it because it's just so disgusting, is I could eat more than 1 pint of ice cream. And I have.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, at work, when they bring in donuts and stuff, I would go when nobody was looking and take a donut or two. And then later somebody would say, have you had a donut? And I go, no, I'm going to go. And then I go get another one. And by the time I come home, my head is spinning because I've eaten 4 donuts and all the other food I've eaten. Oh, yeah, I was so addicted to sugar. Is it a wonder I was pre-diabetic?
Yeah, yeah.
But I didn't know I didn't know. Why? Because I was so in this consumption mode that I wasn't even paying attention.
Yeah, I saw your food list and stuff that you shared, and some of that stuff I didn't even know existed. I mean, I've heard some of it on Food Network when I watch them, cook different stuff, but I didn't know there was, like sweet potato flour or the cassava flour you were talking about. I'm like, yeah, I didn't even know those were out there.
And let me tell you what I learned over the summer. Over the summer, I don't watch a lot of Food Network, but I do occasionally. And over the summer, I saw online on Instagram a lot of people that I follow that are health conscious. They went to Greece and Italy. They never gained any weight. And do you know why? Their pasta and their food doesn't have the chemicals or the bad food that causes inflammation. They extract everything before they make it. And in our country, they don't. They throw it all in there, right? So people are like, I'm like, how did they not gain weight? So I start looking into it. And then I am going to say, for anybody watching or listening, there is a show on CNN every Sunday now with Jose Andres. He is the guy who started the World Kitchen. And he goes all over the world when there's a disaster, to Ukraine, when there's a hurricane. He went to Hawaii for the fire. He does everything. And he cooks meals with his staff for the people there so they get fresh water and clean food. And his very first show last week, I haven't watched it, but I saw bits and pieces. I'm going to watch it this weekend. He talks about how they take all the chemicals and stuff out of the food in Europe and in Spain. That's what he's highlighting. Mm-hmm. And that's why these people stay thin and they're healthy and they live to be 90. And in our country, we're killing people with food. It's crazy.
Is it in the name of making it shelf stable to last longer, or?
Yeah, they extract all the bad bacteria and everything. I don't know how they do it, but their pasta, they don't have to eat cassava flour pasta because it is already when you get it. They don't make wheat pasta like we do. They don't. Because it's not good for you. And they eat pasta every single day, and bread. Bread was my friend. Go to a restaurant, give me the tortilla chips and beer, the bread and butter and the salad, and you can keep the main dish because it doesn't even throw me. Because all that comfort food I could fill up on and wake up the next day and be miserable.
It's like Texas Roadhouse. You get all the rolls with the
exactly
the cinnamon honey butter or whatever, and with it, and it's like, yep.
But I eat bread. But now I make, in fact, it's on my Balance for Life page. I think it was in August. I make a nut and seed bread that's delicious, and that's what I use for bread now.
And they can access that too from your sharethegift.com website, correct?
Well, you can go to sharethegift.com, and then you can click on Balance for Life, or you can go to the Facebook page. It's Balance space the number 4 space and life, and you can join my group, and you can follow all my little tidbits and recipes there.
Wow, that's great to have those kind of resources and stuff, because I know that's normally what kills things most is just, you don't have the time or you don't have the effort, but you've really taken that out of it for everybody.
Exactly. And I don't want people to fail, because I feel like if you fail, I fail, but I can only do so much. I can't stand in your kitchen, and I can't be with you when you go out to eat with your family and friends. And that's another thing. The people around you are so important on this journey, because the sabotagers are going to show up. It's just a given.
Yep. Or they, poke fun at it, or
I went through whatever. Do you know that 6 years later, I'm still going through it? And this is what I tell people. Please don't be the food police. I don't sit at the table and say, oh my God, why are you eating that hamburger and French fries? Right?
Right.
So why are you telling me, are you sure do you really want to eat that? Don't you want to taste this? Does that really taste good? How come you eat like that? Because I'm healthy, and I want to stay that way.
Yeah, and you feel good.
Right.
I mean, like you said, you're going to be, 70 soon, and you don't even look it. I mean,
in October, I'm going to be 70 next month.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, and amazing. I don't feel it either. I'm like, okay, I'm going to be 70, and I'm embracing it, because I've been looking forward to this one since I was 65. I'm like, come on, lucky 7. That's my lucky number. Bring it on, because I'm ready for you, because this next decade will be better than the last. I'm sure of it.
Oh yeah, and you have a new product out too that you come out with called Everything is Nuts.
Correct. So while I was on my weight loss journey, and the story is on my website, I was looking for a cereal that was clean that I could eat or make. And I played around and I bought some things that I didn't like. Nothing satisfied me. So I started out with like dates and figs and nuts and all kinds of stuff. And it took me about 1.5 years. And I finally perfected the recipe. And on August 7th, I launched my product. It's called Everything is Nuts, because I developed it during the pandemic when everything was nuts. And I thought it was a good name, not only for that, but because if you look at our world right now, it's still nuts. And people are constantly saying, oh, the world is crazy. Yeah, everything is nuts. And when I tell people the name of it, they go, that's the perfect name.
Oh, yeah.
Because
yeah.
the only two ingredients I'll share with you is it's made of pistachios and pecans. So on August 7th, I launched my business. And you right now, I don't have my online store set up yet. And here's why. Is I didn't know this, but I don't know if you have to do this in every state. But in California, you have to launch, when you launch your business, once I'm registered, the state of California sends you a notice. You have to pay to put your notice in the local paper so that, as a DBA, so that you have 60 days or 6 weeks, I can't remember what it is, for somebody to say, hey, that's my name, you're stealing it, you can't use it. So next week, I think next week or the week after will be the end of that trial. Nobody has it because I researched it, and so did my accountant before I set up my business. So once it's set up and I know that I can do it, I can set up my online store. So right now, you can email me, or you can go on sharethegift.com where it says contact and send me an email, or go on one of my social media sites and send me a message, and you can place your order there, and you can pay by Zelle or Venmo. And I ship anywhere in the United States.
Oh, wow. Okay. That is awesome. So how do you incorporate your everything nuts in some of your recipes?
So I'll give you one that's really good. So it's a cereal and topping mix. So you can pour it in a bowl and eat it with coconut milk or almond milk and fruit, or eat it plain as cereal. It's excellent on ice cream if you eat ice cream, or you eat like a gelato or something like that. It's delicious on yogurt. It's delicious in a bowl. Sometimes for breakfast, I put everything as nuts, 2 tablespoons of almond butter, a little fruit, and that's my breakfast because it's very filling. Oh. You can also put it on pancakes, waffles, what else? Pancakes, waffles, ice cream, yogurt, fresh fruit. I put it on apples and a little, I add a little extra cinnamon and maybe a dollop of almond butter. It's delicious. What else? Or you can take it with you in your handbag or in the car, and when you need a quick snack, you can just throw a handful in your mouth.
No.
But also this bread that I make, it's called nut and seed bread. I warm it up. I spread almond butter on it, and I sprinkle everything as nuts on it. It's delicious. It's so good.
So
and
you
can
have
add, honestly, you can put it on anything you think will help the taste. Anything you want. I'm looking for people to tell me they put it on something that I haven't done yet. See, I don't eat ice cream. I don't eat waffles. I don't eat pancakes. But the people who do love it. A little maple syrup and some everything is nuts. You're good to go if that's how you eat. Wow. So you see, I made it for people. For me, it has to be clean. So whatever you do with it, when you get it in your hands, you do it. Whatever makes you feel good. But for me, I sell it as a clean food product because I'm not going to sell you bad food. Right. So I'm really proud of it because it's the first product that I never even thought I'd launch a product. But here I am. And now it gave me an idea for maybe in a couple years, another product.
I'm sure, I have no doubt you will come up with something. But you have all these wonderful recipes. So are you writing your own book to have your own recipe book for clean eating? Or
I'm going to, but here's my issue. One, I have a million recipes that can go into a cookbook right now, which is on my radar. When I'm going to do it, I have no idea. And the reason is I don't know how to put together a cookbook. So I have to find somebody who can help me and guide me. And that's where I'm at right now. I'm looking for people. So anybody listening, if you're a writer and you know anything about a cookbook, please get in touch with me, because I think before I launch another product, that's going to be the next move, is the cookbook. And what I really want to do is I want it to be like a Balance for Life cookbook for, not for dummies, but for people who hate standing in the kitchen and cooking, and make it simple, where you could just throw together these easy recipes. But if you're somebody like me who loves to stand in the kitchen for hours, you can also do that. So I'm going to make it, and it's called Balance for Life. So I want to balance it for everybody, for the person who's not the best cook in the world but wants to try, or doesn't have a lot of time, or the person who is like literally wants to become a chef.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So where exactly, I think I remember you mentioned a couple here, or we were talking earlier, some of your stuff that I don't normally see in an everyday grocery store. Where do people normally shop, like, to find some of these kinds of items?
Well, they wouldn't get the clean eating food list unless they join my program. Right. And then I go over that with you, where to buy it. But I will tell you, for instance, if you wanted to try cassava flour, or cassava flour tortillas, or cassava flour pasta, mostly Whole Foods, you can buy it. I buy a brand called Capellini. It's one of the best. But if you go on Amazon, they sell the spaghetti, the penne, they sell it all. They sell cassava orzo, they sell everything. So I always look in the grocery store first, Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, or my regular local store, and then I go online. And if I have to, I buy it online. Like right now, I'll give you an example. I'm trying to make a fresh aioli sauce because I love mayonnaise and I won't eat it. And I can't find a clean version. So I'm trying to find one that I can extract and make. But I also went on Amazon, and some friends of mine have this aioli in their refrigerator. It's clean, has hardly any sugar. And what I might do is buy a jar and try it and see if I like it. And if not, I might take their ingredients and try and replace some of them and make my own. Because when I go in a restaurant, I love aioli, and I always like dip my food in like a little bit just to taste it because it's so good.
You can still get that little bit of taste. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't live in food prison. If I go somewhere, this is what I say to people when I go out to eat. I always look when, I go with my friends or other people to eat somewhere. I always go and look on the menu to see what they have. And if they have one thing on the menu, just one, regardless of what it is, I'll go. Because I'm not going for the food. I'm going for the company, and then the food is a bonus. Where before, it was all about the food, and the company, if you cared about the company, but they weren't the main event, the food was.
Right.
And how bad of food can I eat?
Yeah. And then regret it later. You enjoyed the company, but then, you wind up regretting it later.
But I love the food better.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
You're a good friend, but I like my spaghetti much better.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So can you share some tips about like how you maintain the mental, and the spiritual wellness and stuff, as well as your physical? I mean, it's kind of all encompassing.
Well, I would say that one is really, after going through all of this, the mental part of it is, for me, is why would I want to ruin this? And thinking back of all the struggling I did with food, do I really want to go back there again? And number 3 is, I evicted that fat girl. I don't even know her anymore. And when I look at pictures of me when I was fat, the first thing I think is, you were so sad. I was so sad, but I was so happy on the outside, but inside I was sad. And the difference is now I've learned how to live my life from the inside out. And I don't care what people think about how I look. I don't care what they think about anything, because as long as I feel good, the only person I have to deal with every day is me.
Yep.
So that's one tip, is why would I want to ruin this? And my other tip is, if I had to pick one thing you should be mindful of when you go to the store, go to a restaurant, or put any food in your mouth is sugar. Everything else you can kind of get away with. You can't get away with the sugar. And as you know, because we've discussed this many times, you can go to the store and say it has 2 or 3 grams of sugar. Honestly, you should not be eating anything that has more than 4, maybe 5 grams of sugar, because now you're getting into too much sugar. If you find something that has 8 or 9 or 10 or 11, 12 grams of sugar, eat half. Now you're only eating half the sugar. But the biggest thing is, excuse me, right underneath the sugar is added sugar. You can have 1 or 2 grams of sugar. If there's 4 or more, or 2 or more, or 6 or more percent added sugar, you've blown your whole thing, and all that good food is not good anymore because the sugar turned it bad. And that's the part we turn the other cheek at, as we look at calories, we look at sugar, we look at fat. And we should be looking at fiber, we should be looking at sugar, but not in that order. It should be the sugar first, then the fiber. If you want to look at calories, great. I don't care how many calories anything is. I could care less. I could care less.
Yeah. Well, I want to say you look amazing. So, but I mean,
Thank
how do
you.
you feel getting ready to turn 70, being in the best health and shape of your life?
I'm so excited, and I'm excited for a couple of reasons. One is because I feel so good. 2 is I thank my lucky stars every day that I dodged a bullet, that as heavy as I was up and down yo-yo dieting my whole life, that I don't have to take any other medication except a thyroid pill. And number 3, I really know the importance of getting older, about feeling good from the inside out and not taking a lot of medication and really waking up with energy and feeling vibrant, because so many people that I know didn't get to turn 70. So when people say, oh, I'm getting so old, you should be glad. It's a gift. And I know that gift because I have some really, really, really close friends and classmates that have passed away way before they were going to turn 70 or 60. And it's really sad. And the other thing I would tell people that are 50 or over, getting older is not a death sentence. Just because you get older doesn't mean, oh, well, everybody gets diabetes and high blood pressure. No, they don't. And that mindset is what is going to kill people. When I tell people, listen, I can help you get off the medication. You know what they say to me? I know, but listen, it's how it is. No, what? If somebody said to me, do you want to get off of the medication? I'd be like, hello, where do I have to sign up? But you see, that's the other thing. We don't do it because we're afraid, because now you have to change.
Yeah.
And I might be right, and I'm not a doctor or a dietitian or a nutritionist, but I know what I'm talking about because I lived it, right?
Yep.
So it's either fear or ego why people don't want to get better. And the only way you can get better in life, change is imminent. And if we don't change, nothing moves forward. And forward is my favorite word.
Yeah. And that's probably one of the most important messages I think we can probably take away from the Defying Age with Wellness. Like you said, if you see it, you can achieve it. It's the mindset. You just need to want to change and make that change.
Right.
Well, we are out of time today, Sherry. I want to thank you so much for joining us. And
it's such a pleasure. I love talking to you and being around you. It's just so much fun. And you have such good insight. And the thing I love about you, Laura, is you're like me. You want to share the gifts of whatever knowledge you have with people. And that's the most important thing, because if we don't help other people get to where they want to be, we can't get what we want. And that's something that I really love about you.
Thank you. I love the whole name of your thing is like share the gift. I'm like, what a perfect name for your website and for you. But I really appreciate you coming on.
And so I appreciate your time.
Yes, thank you. Thank you all for joining us. You know, we have a whole lineup of amazing people and guests to share their knowledge and stuff with you. So make sure you take the time to click subscribe, turn on those notifications for the Mindful Mondays with Laura Cross YouTube channel. And that way you won't have to ever miss a thing, and you can catch up on all of your previous guests, all of our previous guests. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next Monday. Oops. Oh, whip. There we go.